for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, here I am, folks, here at the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center located in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, servicing everywhere in northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm Sam Lesante. Thanks for joining us today, folks. We're going to take a tour of a fabulous place and such a tremendous asset to our northeastern Pennsylvania. You know, this is a place where I went to school and graduated. I'm not going to tell you when, but it was fun then, and it's so nice to see that we have such a performing arts center in northeastern Pennsylvania, bringing a lot of people together and having art that everyone could enjoy, all kind of activities. And not only for major acts, folks, but anybody who wants to use this place. We're going to talk about how many people can use the place. But I'd like to talk to two people that are very instrumental in making this happen. We have Elaine, who happens to be the current president, and we have Steve Hahn, who is the interim director of the Wiltsie Center. First of all, congratulations. You are so right. This is, now I have to tell you, I'm embarrassed to say this, but my daughter comes here all the time, and my family. This is the first time I'm here seeing the center. Of course, I was here in high school, and it's so beautiful. So you have a lot to be proud of here, Elaine.
I know. The community has a lot to be proud of. And
you know, you put a lot of effort into the place. Now the center itself, how did this evolve? What was the main reason why, you know, this started evolving?
Steve Hahn and I were members of the Hazleton Area School Board, and what happened was we were renovating this school and we literally ran out of money. We had done the football field first and we renovated that, and of course, as the story oftentimes goes, sometimes you spend just a little too much money on the football field, and when it came to renovating the auditorium, we had no money. And Steve was the brainchild who said, oh, then you know what, let's try to raise money in the community and we'll make it a performing arts center. But it was not as easy.
I mentioned that to a few other people, and it didn't go real well. And finally, Elaine said, "Hey, that's a good idea." Yeah. So we then worked with a couple other board members and moved this along. And the shell, the inside of this, is leased from the school district to our Castle Auditorium Group, is what it's called, and for 50 years. And so we have the inside of the facility during the day. The school gets to use this. After school is over and on weekends, it belongs to us for our use. So, in other words, what you're doing is you wanted to renovate this for the school, right? And you didn't have enough funding. So this is where you change gears here.
Yes,
right.
That's exactly
and what happened? The school district ended up. We made kind of a bargain. They painted the walls and finished kind of the shell of the area, and we as a group raised the money for the seats for. We have a very elaborate sound and lighting system in here. The stage curtains, there are 24 motorized battens or bars that can move scenery up and down. We put a loading dock in. We put some other features that would really be able to accommodate traveling Broadway shows and any other kind of show that we'd want to put on here. So we changed the seats, or I think when you were here there were wooden seats, yes. In about 1,500 of them. So now we have a little wider seats, more comfortable, and there are 1,136 of them.
You know, I do want to say though, when Steve and I were on the board, Carmela Yankiewicz was also on the board with us. And when we started this project, we thought, oh, that won't be a hard thing to do. But to raise a couple $1 million isn't as easy as it seems. Now we're very gratified, but it was difficult.
It's about $3 million that were raised. Some of it was grant money, but it was money, about $3 million was put into this to make it a performing arts center.
Did you have any thoughts as to, you know, what you wanted to do? What was your reason for that, Steve?
This, I mean, I think the original concept was, number one, it was more efficient use of taxpayer money. The school was already here. It was taxpayer money that did this. This could help support a performing arts center. The theater, live theater in this area is very, very big, amateur theater. Your grandchildren have probably been in some shows. My daughter's been in shows. I have. That we have a couple of very strong, active local groups, and thought that maybe there should be a better place for that talent to be seen. We have a beautiful football field, and our athletes have great places to perform and show off what they're able to do and maybe get scholarships from that. But the dramatic arts, we really didn't have anything. I went to a school play at the high school, and if somebody had their back turned, you couldn't hear them. And it really didn't do service to the kids that were in those shows and were very, very talented singers. So here, let's put a place together where their voices can be heard and their faces can be seen, and people can really appreciate the talent that exists in this area. There's a tremendous amount of talent just in our local area. The other thing was to try to make this a Kirby of the South, is what we called it. So let's bring in, if they bring in big name musical acts and Broadway shows, why can't we do that? We wanted to bring this to Hazleton, who maybe hasn't seen some of these types of things in a long, long time, and if ever. And we've been successful at having done that.
You know, we have to, though, we can't minimize, though, when you said this is an enrichment for the entire community, and the entire community has joined with us. In the beginning, we got former school principals. We had Fran Libanotti was involved, Mr. Mussolini, Bobby Shano, Alice Kender came on. We had the Chamber, we had Can Do, we have Tony Casadas. So we went out and we pulled a variety of community leaders to come with us, join with us, and step by step by step, we built this beautiful theater. Part of it is enrichment. It's an enrichment we want for our students. We want our students to be able to come to, like for instance, Fiddler, which we have April 17th. We want our students to be able to see a performance that they would have to go to Broadway for. So, you know, who knows that one moment in time, how it's going to affect a child's life forever. The other thing is, when we were talking about these national groups, and of course we can't forget Tommy Gabus, who I just took over as our castle keeper. But a funny story is, every time we have a performance, we have this ritual. Tommy Gabus and I find him, he's usually running around helping. I pull him and we run up to the top of the balcony, and the two of us, every performance, we look at each other, and I say, Tommy, this is happening in Hazleton. And he looks at me and says, could you believe it, Elaine? We're in Hazleton, and we're just so proud of everybody who's helped us.
Well, you know, it's interesting because this show is airing, you know, all over northeastern Pennsylvania, and for those people, if you're listening to mention names, some of them are former principals of this high school, and some of them are very active in the community. So some names may not be familiar to you in maybe Pine Grove or in Wilkes-Barre. But when you're looking at the talent, I had, when I had my talent show on Fox, you know, Spotlight Talent Showcase, it was, Steve, and as you say, we had an abundance of people, but we gave that child an opportunity to expose themselves and to feel an art, you know, etc. Folks, we come back, we're going to pick up, we're here at the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center in Hazleton. However, it services all of northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm talking to Elaine Curry and to Steve Kahn. Elaine is the current president and Steve is the interim director. We'll talk about some of the acts that have been here and watch out what's coming. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 24/7, SSPTV.com. My email, sam@SSPTV.com. I'm here at the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center in Hazleton. This center services all of northeastern Pennsylvania. Great acts along with Elaine Curry, who is the president, and Steve Hahn, who is the interim director. We were talking before the break about talent, okay? And when I did the show, there was all these different things. But you see the development, as we all do as former school teachers. Were you a school teacher?
No.
Well, see, Elaine and I, we understand that, but you don't understand it. Only kidding aside. But even with your own daughter, Steve, okay? You see how they develop. And if you have a venue where they could express themselves, okay, it's a great opportunity. And this is a place that we could be doing some of those things.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We could showcase our youth. Yes.
Now, you've had already some major performance acts. And who are some of the acts that you had?
Our opening show back in November of 2011 was the band Chicago that everybody has heard of. A lot of people thought, oh, that must be a tribute band that's coming here, but it was Chicago was here. They loved the venue. It was a spectacular show, sellout crowd. Since then, our last the fall season and spring season is upon us. Michael Bolton was here just a few weeks ago. George Thorogood played to a full house. Bill Medley, very well known from the Righteous Brothers, was here earlier in the spring as well. Last fall, Bret Michaels was a big show. Michael Feinstein did a Gershwin show just before he went to New York City to tape a PBS special. We've had a one-man comedy show, a Celtic show that was very well received, and we're looking at expanding upon those. But their international stars have been on this stage, and they all come in a little hesitant that this is Hazleton. Where is that?
This is
what kind of a place is this going to be? Yeah. And they leave here very impressed that, particularly with the warmth of the auditorium. It's almost a very homey atmosphere, very small. You can have almost direct eye contact with people in the back row if you're a performer. Very intimate, and they respond accordingly. So we've had great responses. Everybody there, I'd play there again.
Now, there's many acts coming in, but currently, right now, you have April 17th. And folks, I'm playing this show throughout the year, so we don't want to date it. But however, April 17th, correct? What's happening at Fiddler on the Roof?
Fiddler on the Roof, we're going to try right from Broadway. It's a Broadway touring show, and so it's a Broadway show. And we're going to see how we can accommodate that, because get everybody on stage here. There's a cast of about 40. There's probably 20 or so supporting people backstage that have to work on that. One thing that we maybe didn't realize to begin with was the amount of work that happens behind the curtain, behind the stage, to put on any kind of a musical act or whatever. It's hours and hours of time setting up, getting the stage set up so that when the curtain goes up, the show starts, it's magic. And there's a tremendous amount of work. We're an all-volunteer organization, which is unique. We get a little testy at times because of the hours and the time, but it's a major challenge to pull these things off, and it's, I think, a credit to everybody that's been involved in our group. And
you're also doing something special that time for some people who
students, and that's what I'd like to talk about. This is interesting. This is our first Broadway performance, and what we're trying to do is put as many students from the area, from wherever they live, into a seat. So we have a special program that anyone can call us, get in touch with us, and talk about how you can pay to put a student in a seat, because we think that we've already been talking to our principals. We're trying to get our theater groups, our band members, a lot of the students that have interests in entertainment field. We're trying to find sponsors to put them in a seat, and so far we should have quite a number of students.
We've done the touring group has agreed to do a workshop for our drama students at the high school earlier in the day to help expose them to this type of an act. We've had the Bloomsburg Theater, some other local theater groups we've paid to bring in here to perform for the students. So we want to make this something that gives the students an opportunity to see things that maybe they didn't otherwise. Everybody likes going to New York City, I certainly do, but this is Broadway is coming from New York City to Hazleton, and that's a great opportunity for people. Very inexpensive. There are no parking costs involved with this. Where you go to a bigger city, you've got a lot of parking costs. It's a very easy place to get in and out of, and we'd like to see the house filled again for Fiddler. But
this one performance that you're talking about, what they're asking for is this, folks. There's some people that just can't afford it. I mean, they just can't afford it, and they like to make this available to some of those students. And what would be the cost to sponsor one student?
$20.
So, folks, if for $20 you could help somebody who is less fortunate that could come in and enjoy an entertainment. And I think that's great. I know we, Samson Productions, will certainly be sponsoring a few of them, and we hope that you would participate. Now, this is for the April 17th show. It would be in the afternoon.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Now, what about the students? Is the same?
Yes,
the same. Okay, same performance. So, and then so we'd ask you $20 sponsor a student. They certainly would appreciate it. You could see the smiles on their faces. I can imagine that. You're right about when you go to New York, just think about it. You go to a play or you go and see Bolton, etc. You're spending some major bucks. You got to get into the city, you got to pay, and they're not cheap with parking, as you all know. Then trying to find a place, getting a cab to go or whatever, very expensive. You're bringing the performers here. Now, okay, I mentioned about we had the talent show when I was taping my shows at the studio at Wolf TV, and then I was at WVIA, and they were very gracious to us. There are maybe people in Pottsville or people in, you know, Pine Grove or Origsburg or Minersville, the places, Tamaqua, where our show is seen. If they want to rent this place to come and use the place, you know, we're going to put a phone number on the screen, folks, for you to call. They can do that, and I'm sure the price is reasonable, right?
Well, you know, it depends. You know, we have a rental policy, and it depends, you know, what you need. So, you know, if you need us to give you a professional technician or a lighting person, then you could do it a la carte.
You have a full gamut.
Yes, so we have the whole gamut. If you need ushers, you need to tell us what you need, and then we would tell you what the.
So we have a couple local dance studios that are putting their shows on here this June. They're going to do. We've got a cooking show coming up in a couple months. We've had other requests. The Air Force Jazz Band was going to play here until the sequester and the funds were cut, so they had to cancel that show. But that was going to be something that was going to be free to the public. This is a great place for public forums, for any kind of speaker events. We have a movie screen. We could show movies here, which we've done before too. So we could start a number of different things if anybody has an interest. There's a group traveling around from Penn State alumni about Joe Paterno, that they want to do a show here, a presentation.
Well, they want to do a film. They have a film about Paterno, and they were asking if we would host it here.
Terrific. Folks, I'm here at the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. This place services, as you can see, all of northeastern Pennsylvania. You come back, there's a lot of other things you could do to participate with this Performing Arts Center. Remember, we're talking about development. We're talking about areas that people come into the area and they want to know what to do. We see it every day at our TV station, where people come in and they are amazed at what this northeastern Pennsylvania has to offer, particularly in towns like Hazleton. So stay with us. We have a lot more to talk about. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, 247ssptv.com, and my email is sam@ssptv.com. Last month, folks, over 1 million hits on our website, and I thank you so much. Remember, all around the town, the girls, you know, all the different shows. What you're hearing, folks, I'm here at the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center, and it's a junior high school. And they use it throughout the day, and then it's open up to the general public. Now, the lady herself, Alice C. Wiltsie, a little bit about her.
Well, you know, her nephew is from Texas, and he contacted us, Alice. He contacted Alice Kender, and he wanted to name the naming rights. He took the naming rights to put this in memory of his beloved aunt, Alice C. Wiltsie. And it turned out, we were so grateful, because, you know, when you give naming rights, you never know, you know, what the name's going to be. And we are in a school, and it turned out that it was one of the most beloved teachers. She was one of the first art teachers. She taught in this school, and when you mention her name, all her former students loved her. So we were so grateful to have such a wonderful name, and to be in a school and to be called after one of the most beloved teachers in the city.
That's great. Now, speaking of that, Steve, okay, so sometimes there are people that want to help. I remember doing a show with Sister Sponsa, who takes care of all these people in Africa who they, you know, if you're born deformed, they throw them away, and she brings them back in. And there was a person out there who was watching, wrote a check at $10,000 to help her. Okay, now there's a lot of people out there that want to help, and they want to do good things, just as Alice Wiltsie's nephew did. If someone wants to make a check donation of $100 or $1,000 or $50 or whatever, what do they make it out to, and what do they do?
We have a couple different programs, actually. There's a Have a Seat program, we call it, that the seats in the auditorium, you could have a plaque put on the back of that in memory of somebody in your own name, a class name, whatever you might want to have on there. and those are available depending on where they're located. The prices range for around $100 or $250 or up to $1,000.
People who graduated from the school, if they would like to have their name, that's fabulous.
Or if a family member graduated from here, they may want to put that in there. Some that the entire families have a row of seats with different names on them. So that's one way. The other is certainly we look for individual sponsors for shows. We will attach company names and different things to shows that we have coming here. But also if people want to just help out, otherwise they can certainly send a check to the Alice C. Wiltsie Performing Arts Center.
And we'll be very happy.
Yeah.
We're really trying to develop programs to involve the students in the arts. That really is our mission. And whether it's to sponsor kids to be able to have them see shows that they wouldn't be able to otherwise, or workshops. We've sponsored 3 or 4 shows, as I said, during the day for the students, a magic show and some different things, theatrical groups.
And we want the people who live here to have, this is an opportunity for our citizens here to be able to come here and see talent from across the United States and right in your own hometown. And it's so wonderful to be here and think, I'm right in my hometown and I'm seeing performances that occur on Broadway. And so it's an enriching thing for everybody in the community, our students, our adults, everybody. Because we have this here, we are enriching how many lives in our city? You know, we are making our city, you know, life enriching.
Plus, we bring people coming to the show. We've had, as I said, Michael Bolton, Brett Michaels. There are people who come from Maryland, Virginia, all over the country to see some of these people they really want to see. They stay in hotels locally. There are local restaurants that in this general vicinity, the stars will buy food from there that we have delivered over for their meals, and they're great places. It's a way for local business to take advantage of some of that activity with people coming here.
It's good for our economy, our local economy.
It's a win-win from A to Z. Folks, I just want to remember, if you're watching the show in April, and I said I'm playing the show throughout the year, excuse me, they're giving, they like to give some students who can't really afford to come to some events an opportunity of Fiddler on the Roof. And it's only $20 to sponsor one student. So if you could do that, it would be great to sponsor 1 or 2 students that come in. You just see the smiles on their face and how they feel so special to come to an event like this. And I think that's great. You know, arts are interesting. As I told you, I wear my Picasso tie today, and I haven't worn this in a while because, you know, I was a musician. You know, I played a trumpet with Father Ferrara. I had the talent show, which was at that time in the Sunday morning getting a 2 rating point, which was more than anyone. Not because of me, because people enjoyed watching people perform. Okay, and this is a great avenue for it. Now, when we talk about parking, okay, I know people live around the area say, where are they going to park? Where are they going to park? Where do they park?
We have parking on the grounds here. We also made arrangements with this old St. Joe's Hospital property. Has two lots. They're a block away. St. Stan's, there's another big parking lot a block away. And that was a big concern of ours. Where would people park? Yes. And we've done a number of sellout shows and have never heard a problem about parking. We've never heard a problem about people parking where they shouldn't park, so it's been...
Hayden Electric put some lights on our parking lots for us. The Greater Hazleton Health Alliance gave us use of the parking. So everyone is making a contribution to make us be successful, and we're so grateful. This belongs to the community, and we're so grateful to all the help that we get, everybody stepping up and being a part of this, because this is something wonderful, but it belongs to everybody. And we want to thank everybody too that we've managed to come this far. I mean, sometimes I think it's a miracle.
It definitely. And if anybody wants to get involved, helping unload trucks or things, we could certainly use the help.
For those who have been watching the Sam Lesante show, you know, I bring a lot of politicians on, and with different guests come on. And there's one thing that I'm really happy about. And you know, even though you guys were involved with politics, etc., this is non-political, and it's for everybody, and it's not a Democrat, Republican. No. And for those people, you know, you don't have egos, because that's been the destruction of many things. The egos are put aside. Everyone just they do what they have to do. The former principals here, you know, you talked about Mrs. Kender and all the different, a lot of people that have worked here, and that makes us feel good because it's not a clique.
No.
Okay, and those are the kind of things, Steve, that I think turn people off. This is not an opportunity to service anyone. Well, look, we got about 30 seconds left. What would you like to say to all our viewers?
Well, I'd like to invite you to come to a performance here. You will be so impressed. And you will be so impressed with our lighting. A lot of our musicians come here, and at first they look as if they're going to use our systems, and they use our systems, and they're so delighted. So I invite all of you to come to the LSE Wiltsie Performing Arts Center.
And you'll definitely come back again. If you're here for a show,
folks,
you'll come back
the information is on the screen, okay? They have a lot of events here. But remember, if you're watching the show before April 17th, please help a couple of these students out who don't have the money to come to, just can't afford it unless those people
could go on Ticketmaster, where we sell tickets for the show. That's
terrific.
Definitely a place they can
Ticketmaster, you get tickets for the show and also any information you need. I'm Sam Lesante. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.